I forgot earlier. That's my vote. Not quite as user friendly as mine was last year, but okay. Okay, so what I'm looking at, my copay, there's really not a copay on here. It's really just what it says is the calendar year deductible and then a co-insurance. And what it means by calendar year is typically your insurance every year starts over January 1st. Normally. Now for me as a teacher, my year starts at September 1st. So every September 1st, mine rolls back over. And what that means is that in 1 year, okay, I have to meet my deductible. Once I meet my deductible, then they're going to do a co-insurance. So for this particular insurance, my deductible is $5,000. This IN on here means individual. So it's $5,000 is my deductible. And your deductible is what again? No.
The amount you pay for receiving.
Yes, the amount you pay before you get your benefits. Now, if I have if I'm out of network, so if I'm going to a hospital that's not covered by my insurance only, or a doctor that's not only covered, then my deductible is $10,000. Okay. So, but $5,000, we're going to see what that is my deductible. So what that means is that because there's no copays, I'm going to have to pay $5,000 before my insurance actually takes effect. So what this means, because that can sound kind of confusing. Let's say January 2nd, I go to the doctor and it costs me $100. Okay, now, because I don't have a copay and I have to meet my deductible before my insurance is going to cover anything else, I have to pay that full $100 to pay all of that. Okay. Let's say I go back to the doctor's office and this time they do let's say this time they do a ultrasound. Okay, and it costs $500. Okay, I still haven't met my $5,000 deductible, so I'm still going to have to pay that in full. Does that make sense? It doesn't necessarily mean I have to pay it right at that moment. I might can pay it out over time or something, but I'm still going to owe that. Now, let's say I come back and they're like, oh yeah, you got your gallbladder's crazy. So on January 20th now, I have surgery. Let's say my surgery is $20,000. Big typical, I would think surgical cost. That may even be too little, I don't even know. So now I've got here. So I've already paid 100 of my deductible, and I've already paid 500 of my deductible. So what do I have left to pay of my deductible? Yes, I still owe $4,400. Does that make sense? So what's going to happen is here, I've already paid $600. So my deductible says after I pay $5,000, then I'm done. So here I'm going to pay my $4,400. That's what I have left in my deductible. And my insurance is going to pay everything else. My insurance is going to pay for the other $15,000 of that. Makes sense? I did a lot better job to explain this earlier, I feel like. Now here it says co-insurance. So what that means, it says 100% individual. What that means is that once I meet my deductible, my insurance is going to pay it at 100%. That means they're going to pay every bit of it. Once I get to that $5,000, they're going to pay everything after that. So in my mind, if this happened January 20th, I've already paid my $5,000 deductible. They're going to pay for everything else for the whole rest of the year, up to $2 million. So if I've got anything else I want to get done, then my insurance will pay for it. They'll pay for it.
What is the 90% of?
Which one? This 80% right here?
Yeah.
What that means is that once I've met my deductible, if I go to a hospital or a doctor's office where they're not in network with my insurance, they haven't already set up a contract, then they're only going to pay 80% instead of 100. So if that were the case, I would still have to pay 80% of that 15,000 that's left over. I mean,
20.
yes, I would have to pay 20. They're going to only pay 80% of that. I'm losing everybody. A lot of numbers going on here. I know y'all learned percents in 6th grade. But that's been a while. So out of pocket, here's this term, out of pocket max. You'll see that a lot. It'll say out of pocket maximum. This says after the deductible. So once I've paid my deductible, the maximum amount I should be expected to pay out of my own pocket is 0. I won't pay anything else. Once I've met that $5,000 deductible, I won't pay anything else for the whole year. Unless it's out of network and then I'll have to pay the stuff. But as long as it's in network, which an insurance company like Blue Cross Blue Shield, pretty much everybody thinks that. So that's that. Now, other says preventive is covered at 100%. So that means any preventive care I would get. I got any kind of like cancer screenings, immunizations that are required, any kind of flu shot, those kind of things are always covered at 100%. That means I don't have to pay anything. They're going to pay for those completely. Why do you think they do that? Because all insurances do that now.
Because
They
it's
cover
going to save
everything.
them money in the long run. If you get cancer, then there's some cost in more money.
Right. It saves them money in the long run. Because think about it. Hey, if I get a flu shot, which I don't even know how much those would normally cost. Let's say I don't get the flu shot, but I get the flu and I have to go stay in the hospital for 5 days. That's going to cost my insurance company a lot more than just paying for the flu shot up front. Does that make sense? So that's why they do that. This was the premiums. So that's what that was about. Now look at this one. My prescriptions were also had to meet the calendar year deductible, and then I would pay the co-insurance. So like that doctor's office cost me $100. Let's say they prescribed me some medicine that cost me $50. Well, that $50 would have also gone towards my deductible. Everything adds up to meet your deductible, and once you get to that $5,000, then they pay for everything else. Does that make sense? Let me switch over to a little bit more complicated insurance. Now that we've looked at that one. Now this is the school insurance. So these are the two, not the only two, but these are two options that at the school we could choose. So this one is called Active Care 1 HD. That means high deductible. That's what the HD stands for. And this one is the second option. So we're going to look at the two of these, and we'll see which one you guys think is better. They both have their good and their bad. Okay, so the deductible, I know you guys may not be able to see it, but the deductible per year for the employee is $2,400. Okay, so that's the deductible. Want to say deductible again? Yes, so it's kind of your amount you pay, or you can receive everything else. So $2,400. Now this one has an out-of-pocket maximum as well. It says per plan here, but it does not include any deductibles or any copays. So that means past beyond my deductible. So I paid my $2,400. Okay, my out-of-pocket maximum is $3,850. So that means even if I have $1 million in bills for the year, I'm gonna have to pay that $2,400, and then the maximum amount I should have to expect to pay for the whole rest of the year is that $3,850. So, yeah, but then, if you don't use any of it, then you paid insurance all year long. It's a risk. Insurance is always a risk because you don't know if something's going to happen or not. Like you can't afford to not have it because what if something comes up, you know? Like I have a friend who had a baby and she was born 3 months early. Well, her medical bills were like $3 million because she was in the NICU for that period of time. You know, she was born at like 26 weeks or something crazy. So, you know, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you spend the rest of your life owing the hospital money. I don't know. Crazy. You don't have insurance, you know. So she did. But so that's what that's saying. But that $3,850 is after you've already paid the deductible. So that's why it says that out-of-pocket max, but it doesn't include the deductible. Now, this is a doctor's office visit. It says I have to pay 20% after I meet my deductible. What is that 20%? What's the term for that called? Yes, that's a co-insurance. Co-insurance is always one of the percentage. Okay, so let's say I have a surgery that is $10,000. Okay. So, first of all, I have to pay what up front?
$10,000.
Not the full 10. The deductible. Okay. So my deductible, like I said, is $2,400. So minus $2,400. What is that? $7,600. Okay, so that's what I still have left of this surgery. I have to pay that $2,400 before anything else will kick in. Now it says, let's go down here, inpatient hospital. It says I have to pay 20% after the deductible. So that 20% is my co-insurance. So that means I have to pay 20% of this. So somebody get their phone out and do that on the calculator. 7,600 times 22.
What'd you say?
7,600 times 0.2, that'll give us our 20%. I know y'all are doing that class.
1,520.
How much?
1,520.
Okay, so there's our deductible. This is our co-insurance for the surgery. Okay, now let's say you got an infection. And now they have to go back in and do another surgery. Say this time, the surgery is $20,000. Now, we've already met our deductible, right? So I'm still, what percentage of this am I going to have to pay? 20. So what's 20% of that?
Do you want to do it? Just do it in my head.
No, no, in your head. What would 20% of 20 be? 1/5 of 20.
So that'd be like
4,000. So that's 4,000. So that's my 20%. Okay, so my co-insurance here is 4,000. Am I going to have to pay all that? They pay for the rest of it, but look, I have this out-of-pocket maximum. So per year, it doesn't include my deductible, but it's $3,850. So that means beyond this $2,400, I'm only going to have to pay $3,850. Well, I've already paid this much. 20, what's that? So that means out of this 4,000, I'm only actually going to have to pay the 2,300, and then I'm done. The rest of the year, my insurance is going to cover everything else because I've met my maximum amount I have to pay. Does that make sense? I know it's like a lot of words. I just wanted you guys to see how these words that you learned fit into this. I just want you to see where that deductible comes in, that out-of-pocket, your co-insurance and co-pay. So here's my thing. Let me tell you, you tell me what you guys think about the two insurances. So how much total, if let's say I have a crazy, let's say, well, like my C-section, for example, pay $30,000. So how much total am I going to have to pay ever? The maximum amount total I'm going to have to pay for this?
$350.
plus,
Plus your deductible.
yes, 3850 plus the deductible. So what is that?
Be 6,000 or something.
Okay. So regardless of what happens to me, this is the maximum amount I'm gonna have to pay. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When I look at the prices of these, I can tell you how much this is. This is an old, I'll give you the prices from 2 years ago. And I'm gonna give you the employee price. I'll give you the prices I actually had to pay from 2 years ago. So, actually, so this one cost, the premium, which remember is the cost, was $75 a month. Okay, let me go ahead and give you the premium over here. Premium for this one was $279 a month. So let's see what's really worth it. Okay, so let's say we'll do the same surgeries. We'll say we went through the same situation. You're gonna have to specify how many days we have to stay in the hospital. This is probably the one you have to stay in the hospital. Okay, so if I go over here to this next plan, which costs significantly more. So my deductible here, it says, is $1,000, which is much better. And it's have to pay up front, right? So we know, so if I have, well, let's just keep going. So out-of-pocket maximum over here, though, is $4,000, which is a little higher than it was here. But you have to pay less up front with this one, okay? So 1,000 individual, 1,000 deductible, 4,000 out-of-pocket. Now, my doctor's office visits, here I had to pay for them in full until I met my deductible. Here I have a copay, and the copay is $30. So that means every time I go to the doctor, I have to pay $30. That's a primary doctor. Now, preventive care, 100% like the other one. Okay, so let's say this hospital and the surgery, we'll say this first one, let's say this first one was outpatient. Outpatient just means you don't have to spend the night in the hospital. You go in, have surgery, and you go home the same day. Inpatient means you actually have to stay in the hospital. Makes sense, those two terms. So we'll say this one is after surgery. So this says I'd have to pay a $150 copay plus 20% after my deductible. So I'm going to get kind of out there. So I have to pay a copay, and it's $150. Okay. Now my surgery was $10. So first I have to pay my deductible, which is how much?
$1,000.
Yes, $1,000, right? So
And then 20% out of what's left.
after deductible. So yes, so 20% now of what's left of this. So what is that? 20% not 1,000. I don't know.
It would be, well, what's left would be
1,000.
850. Yeah, 850. I'm done.
1,800.
No, what's left out of 10,000 from that one surgery would be 9,850.
No, copay doesn't count towards anything.
It doesn't? I thought it counted with the surgery.
No. Anything copay, copays don't count towards your deductible or your out-of-pocket max. So even if you expended all of your insurance usage, and you went back to the doctor, you still have to pay copays. So that $150 doesn't go towards your out-of-pocket maximum or towards your deductible. It's just on top of everything else. So we still have 9,000 left of this. So we still have to pay 20% of that 9,000, which is the 1,800. So that's your co-insurance. Okay. Now, so we did all that. Now we get down here. Now we're in the hospital. We got that nasty infection. So here it says, if we're in the hospital, you have to pay 20% after the deductible. We've already met the deductible, already been paid. So what is 20% of 20,000, did we say? 4,000. But up here it says my out-of-pocket max is 4,000. I've already paid $1,800 of that and that co-insurance, so that gets to count towards that out-of-pocket max. So what's 4,000 minus 1,800? I should go with that one in my head. 20, 30, 20, 200. Well, actually, I only have to pay 2,200 of that one, because that's my co-insurance. Now I have met the out-of-pocket maximum. But here's the kicker. What else does it say inpatient hospital-wise?
When you stay the night, there's that one.
There it is. Facility charges. $150 a day plus the 20%. If I stay 2 days, how much am I going to have to pay in co-pays? $300. That doesn't count towards anything else that I've done. So total amount for this, I've had to pay, we can just add all this up. Basically 5,000 plus our co-pays. Yeah. So 5,450. So our total amount, same exact issues with this insurance plan, we have to pay 5,400. Oh, that's crazy. 450, which is better than this, right?
Well, I don't know, because then you have to add what's in, what you have to pay a month, and basically that evens
Exactly
it out,
right.
and then so that one's better.
So in the long run, if you're just looking at what you have to have, this one comes out better because you pay less in the end. But you're paying you're paying $200 more a month for this one. If you're paying $200 more a month, what's 200 times 12? $2,400.
That's like,
So that means you're paying another $2,400 extra for this plan.
The plan one.
Isn't that crazy? So even though this looks really nice, now here's the thing. Here's why this one might be better. If you have a lot of just little doctor's visits, you know, if you have to go to see the doctor, it might be worth it because you're only ever going to have to pay a copay when you go in. Versus over here, if I make 5 doctor's visits, I'm going to have to pay all those doctor visits in full. Every time I go, $100 or $150. I have to pay the whole thing until I get to reach 5 or
but
24.
then again, but you're still paying $279 a month, so basically
Exactly.
the same as going to the doctor.
Right. That's my logic. So I always get on this one. But with my first baby, I got on this one because I just thought, well, it's going to be better. It's better insurance. We'll just pay for it and it'll be better. The co-pays is what hurts you because they don't count for anything. And so what I didn't realize when I had my first baby is here I had to pay $150 a day to stay in the hospital, which I stayed 3 days, so it's $450. But it started over with the baby. So the baby also spent the night in the hospital for 3 days. So I had to pay $150 a day for her. So it's $900 in co-pays, which didn't even count towards my deductible. I'm just crazy. So I didn't do that this time around. But that's my point in this is just I want you guys to see how these terms fit in when you're looking at this as a whole. But secondly, for you guys, when you do surgery, when you get insurance someday, I want you to know, like, you need to really look at what's going to be most feasible. Don't just think, oh, I want the best insurance, so I need to get the one that's the most expensive. That's not always the case, you know. It definitely is not the case here. There's probably situations where this one might be better, but I'd just rather keep my money in my bank and spend a little more if I need it than to put my money all in and maybe not need to have it. I don't know. I know that's all wordy and kind of crazy looking, but I just want you guys to know, those are things that you really need to look at. And that's how those terms are used on here.